Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Just going to make a little video tonight. I've been getting a few messages on Instagram and on my eBay. A lot of people asking questions about Opus 1. And I mean, some people are asking about Wave 1, but a lot of people are asking about just Opus 1. This happens to be a little, it's a collection of a full set. All 216 Opus 1 cards. This is Wave 2 in foil. So a guy's purchased these off me off Instagram. He really wants to get into fftcg. We've been chatting for a little while now. We've struck up a little deal. So I've been sorting through these tonight for him to get them ready to post really Monday morning. So I just thought, take a little bit of an opportunity to talk through maybe what I think is happening with Opus 1. Now, the same as most TCGs, you've got the first set, which this is, and it's got a lot of notable characters in it. Now, I know I said a lot about the characters last time, but aside from the really big characters, which you've got your Cloud, and then you're going to have your Tifa, the legends are over here currently, and then you've got Lightnings, and you've got Aeriths, Yunas, Sarah. So these characters are very nostalgic to a lot of people, and with what's happening in the other TCGs, that the prices are going up, and I suppose really it becomes a FOMO. It's fear of missing out, and people are discovering that fftcg exists finally, and they don't want to be too late onto the bandwagon with it. Now, a lot of us players have been quite lucky, because we've had the cards and we've had them a long time. We've had them before they became expensive. Now, there's going to be a certain amount of upset with people who sold foils on, especially Wave 1 foils early on in the game to maybe finance other sets or other things. And there is a certain amount of upset about that, and I totally understand it. But then now I think when we look at the fact that we've got a lot of new collectors and new players coming into the game, it's like a big symbiotic relationship between players, collectors, investors, and as long as the ratios are healthy, it's definitely a very positive thing for the game. So I don't want people to get too concerned and dwell upon that too much, because a game needs all the different aspects of the people involved with it. It needs players, it needs investors, it needs speculators, it needs people who flip cards, it needs people who are getting nostalgic onto certain characters. You might have FF10 fans, or you might have FF7 fans. There's probably not many FF8 fans realistically, but that is what it is. But so these prices really, they are they're going up, but they're still attainable to a lot of people. A lot of people can't afford the PSA 10s, first edition Charizards. They can't afford the Black Lotuses. So card games like Final Fantasy, with such a big franchise as such, they're very attractive and very desirable for those kind of people, which is absolutely fantastic for the game. So very pleased about that. So yeah, just gonna have a look at some of the cards now that, that this guy's bought off me. I've got to package these off and send them off to America, so that's quite pleasant. So cards like Orin here, the hero not so much, but the rare especially. He was a very, very cheap card for a long time, but now FF10 fans are coming out the woodwork and realising this game exists, and a card like this now has gone up 200-400% in the space of like 3, 4, 5 months. So a card here like Red Mage that was very useful back in the day when, you know, in Opus 1 and Opus 2, because, you know, it put a little pressure on it. It was quite a meta card as such. It was good in a deck, but a standard unit from Final Fantasy 3 has got no appeal to any kind of Final Fantasy fan. He's got nothing going for him as far as a collector or an investor is going to go, unless he comes in a full set. Now, strangely, I've noticed that cards like these FFT summons, so there must be a few Final Fantasy Tactics fans about, because I've noticed that the price on these summons have grown quite steadily as well, you know, along with the characters. So that's kind of surprising to me. It's not a big game in the franchise, but certainly there seem to be some people who are a fan of FFT and want cards like Ifrit, Shiva, Golem, Titan. You know, it was quite surprising, but quite reassuring to see that not just the big characters are going up. Now, it's always going to be the big characters that go up the most, but you know, that some of the lesser characters are coming up with it, or lesser, you know, unless there's a summon, of course, but Ifrit itself is still a character in the franchise. These ones are all kind of vanilla, really, as far as desirability goes, but then you've got cards like Cloud and Zack. Very, very, very popular. Can't express how important it is to get these cards if you are considering picking up collecting Final Fantasy. I really can't express it enough. These early Opus main characters, whether they're protagonists or antagonists, you know, you really want to be filling your binders up with them slots. Tifa, yeah, this card is really hot gold right now. You've got to pick it up if that's a card for you. Then yeah, you don't want to be lethargic and slow on that. It's probably all you've got really for fire here, unless you're a WoF fan. Lan and Ren, very nice cards. Lebro, back in the day, was quite useful for decks. We'll have a quick look at the ice element here. Now, with Opus 1, there was 30 cards in every element, and then there was 5 cards in every element in the starters. So there was 3 starter decks. There was fire and ice. There was lightning. No, there wasn't. There was fire and earth. Then there was ice, lightning, and then there was water, wind. Need to get that right. So ice is quite thin on the ground, really, with characters other than Squall, Sephiroth, and Sarah, who's right next to Sephiroth, and Sarah. They're your probably 3 biggest characters in ice. They're definitely the ones that are, you know, demanding the most attention right now, and people are, you know, trying to buy out copies of these cards. Sephiroth especially. So it's definitely a card to look out for in Opus 1. In Wind, these 2 Aeriths are probably, yeah, the most desirable cards. This one especially, with it being the art that was never actually featured in the game. You never actually saw Aerith with the high wind, because yeah, she had a bit of a boo-boo, so that's another story altogether. You got the Sid Highwinds, Cloud riding the Chocobo. People seem to love that card for some reason. It's kind of cool, I don't know. And then further on, you know, Maria is a very strong card. It's an Amano art, so that's another thing that you might want to consider if you are looking at getting, you know, collecting some Final Fantasy cards. That these cards drawn by Amano, that you know, they're very desirable. It's a very, very pretty card, so people really like that card. And then other than that, you've got the Rikus, and out of the 2, I think this is the best card. Even though this one was banned in play because it basically mills your opponent, and with Wind having so many ways of activating backups, it was quite degenerate and, yeah, frustrating to play against once it got going. But the artwork on it, Riku, is just looking, yeah, really cool. So yeah, that's wind. If we're looking to earth, a particular card that I've paid attention to here is Vanille. I really think it's such a cool card. She's such a cool character. So she's been seeing a little bit of attention. And then other than that, I like Seraphy. And then Barrett. Obviously, Barrett being an FF7 character, he's always going to be pretty sought after by fans. In Lightning, basically, we have Lightning. This is probably the most expensive card, or maybe arguably with Tifa, that's not a legend in Opus 1. She had a buy list put out on her very early, probably 18 months ago. Someone was trying to buy her up, and now a few people have jumped on that. They've kind of seen the appeal with it. The thing with this Lightning is it's actually the artwork from the pack and the box of Opus 1. So from what I've been told, people looking back at other games have noticed that artwork cards of that particular game from the first set have always been very desirable. They've always been a chase card later on. So I think a few people jumped on that quite early and thought that, yeah, this card is going to be pretty good for, you know, for collecting, investing purposes. So, you know, and you also need to remember that the investing side of fftcg, although it is very thin, there are people who are doing it, you know, not even me. There are other people who are looking at this as some kind of small investment. You know, it's I don't know if it's going to be anything like what Pokemon or Magic is, but some people are looking at it. You know, it might just do a bit of something over the next few years, which, you know, is always a hope. And then my favourite card of Opus 1 altogether is Lulu, and yeah, I put a buy list out on her, so, you know, I can't slate people too much for putting buy lists out and trying to amass certain numbers of certain cards. So then in water, you've not really got a lot that you're going to chase after unless you're filling the whole setup. But again, there's a few characters. You've got your Tidus here. There's actually 2 Unas in water. You've got the hero unit and then the rare unit. This is the one that seems to be the most desirable. I don't know why. Artwork wise, I probably prefer the 5CP one, but yeah, for collecting wise, people seem to like this 2CP one, the rare, quite a bit more. But that's down to preference, and if you're a Final Fantasy X fan, you're probably going to want to collect them both. And then Waka, terrible character, quite a nice card. And then there's a few light and darks. So you've got Onion Knight and Cosmos. Now Cosmos and Chaos, the 2 backups, the light and dark backup of Opus 1, which essentially made it that you could do what the game didn't want you to do from the start, which is to have more than one light or dark character on the field at the same time. So, but Cosmos seems to be less desirable in play, but very desirable for collectors, whereas Chaos was very good in play. That results in finding a good condition Chaos is quite a bit harder than finding a good condition Cosmos. So, I mean, I noticed that on TCG Player, this card here skyrocketed from £10 to £75 to £80 over the space of a month, which was kind of crazy. But then looking on eBay, TCG Player, Card Market, they're on for sale. So I haven't sold one for that money. I won't be trying to sell one for that money. I also won't be trying to buy one for that money. So maybe that's something to look at. And then the starters. Selling this set was kind of painful because the amount of this Tifa that I have is a lot lower than the amount of other cards I have from Opus 1. So yeah, every time I sell a Tifa, it's very painful. Absolutely fantastic card. It's stunning, really. it's a very beautiful card, and yeah, I've struggled to be getting them now for the last year or so. I'm really struggling to get hold of Tifa, so if you've got any foil Tifas, let me know. I'll be very interested in buying a few off you. You've got the ice starters here. Sarah, probably the most chase card out of them. Jewel in the Bat was very good in play. Sarah's just, yeah, a very pretty card. And then in Wind, basically Valley Fort and Pain were played to death from sort of like opus 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So finding cards in good condition of these two is, you know, it's getting kind of tricky now. They are there. Luckily, they don't have the meta value what they used to have, but they do certainly have the rarity value. So, you know, picking these up for sort of like £25, £30 each it's not unheard of now. And then into Earth, we've got Vincent and Jessie, which yeah, she's very, very expensive, and don't know why. She was obviously in Final Fantasy 7R. She's a much bigger character than what she was in the original Final Fantasy, but she's not exactly a main character. But probably, yeah, top 5 non-legend cards, expensive wise, price wise, in this set. Very surprising, very good card. Into Lightning, basically you've got Lightning again. Yeah, probably the most expensive starter except for Tifa. Terrible card in play, but it's Lightning. People love Lightning. It holds very good value. And then into Water, Yuna is is probably the chase card there. She's just the big character of Final Fantasy X, and yeah, that's the sort of card that people are looking for. So yeah, that's kind of like what I wanted to say about this. Really, is that, you know, I've had a few people reaching out to me. They've been asking me some other questions as well, about storing the collection and how I go about organising it and things like that, which is something I might touch on in another video. But you know, for now, I just wanted to go through this little package that I put together. Obviously, we've got the Opus 1 Cloud and Sephiroth here, which are now the most expensive cards in the set. Cloud is the last one, has just been sold today at $150, and the last Sephiroth got sold 2 days ago for $80 on eBay. So you've got $230 right there in 2 cards, and that's eBay prices. That's consistently selling as well. You know, they're getting sold every other day at almost like a few percent, 5% higher than what it was the day before. I don't know how much longer that kind of growth can continue. Final Fantasy's always been pretty lucky that it's had organic growth for the last 3-4 years. So realistically, I don't think the game wants it to spike or go crazy. It'd just be better to carry on a lot slower and a lot steadier and a lot more controlled. But, you know, people are jumping on the FFTC bandwagon. Can't say I blame them. And cards like this, you know, they're very desirable, and people are just, yeah, they're searching for them now. They're trying to get the binders full as quick as they can, because it's like I said before, the fear of missing out, you know, the fear of it ever becoming too expensive just to get it. So the hype train seems to be quite real on these Final Fantasy 7 characters. So okay guys, well, yeah, thanks for joining me, just talk nonsense about Opus 1. Thank you very much. Bye bye.